Do you feel like you're the one putting in the lion's part of the effort in your relationship? How can you get your partner to own up and do their fair share? In today's episode, I'll be answering one of your questions and giving my 2 cents and more, of course, because it's me, about what you should be doing if you feel like you're putting in 100% and your partner isn't meeting you halfway in today's episode, where I do a little special Ask Dr. Abby. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast. It is so good to have you here. Today's question is so good and so juicy, and I am so excited to share it with you and to share all of my many points of view. I was answering it on a flight back. I just did a talk in Nashville. Hi, Nashville. It was pouring rain when I was there. No thanks for that. But, and I, get all these questions that come in from you, which I really appreciate. Again, you can write to me at abbymedcalf.com. And this one was just so good. I thought, oh my gosh, I have to answer this. And so on the plane, I was like, I look like one of those memes. I was like writing all my notes for, what I wanted to say today. And I do want to throw out there that I do love getting your questions. I do my very best to answer them all. And when I mean answer, I mean just respond and let you know I got it. I want to be clear that I'm not going to give you advice over an email. First of all, it's unethical. Second of all, I don't have all the information, which is why it's unethical. Third of all, I don't have time. I get hundreds of emails every week. It would be impossible for me. It would be a full-time job. And I say with love, I ain't getting paid for that. And it's just it's not cool. Like your life is too important for that. That's not how this should work. It shouldn't be some off the cuff, fly by, answer when I really don't know you or all the situation. When you write in, however, and a lot of you know, because sometimes I'll respond with like, hey, listen to this podcast episode or watch this video. I do, if I can help in a moment, I can say that. Like, here's something I think might help you. Again, I don't always have time for all that because there's so many of, writing in, which again, I love and appreciate. And what I do often say is like, hey, I'll try to get to this on the podcast. And when I do it on the episode, like I'm about to do, I do read the question and get specific, but to me, it's a question that many people have asked in a different way. So I feel like I'm answering a lot of people, and I'm really doing a fictionalized version. Sometimes I even change the question a little bit, obviously to protect the innocent. If I think something is too specific where somebody might recognize themselves, I don't want, that's not what we're trying to do. Or I don't mind you recognizing yourself. I don't want you to think your friends would if they were listening. Yeah. And I'm, again, like often giving a bunch of different responses. Like, if it was this way, I would say this. And if you're really saying this, I would say this. So I'm being kind of broad. To me, I'm not giving you, this very specific answer just for you. And that's why, because you might be thinking, well, why is it ethical to do it this way? Well, that's why, because it's in a much broader context. And again, it's something I think is going to be helpful to everybody. And a lot of people I know have this problem a lot where they think their partner isn't doing what they're doing or putting in the effort they're putting in. And I feel like by answering this question, I can really reach many. So let me read the question. Here we go. Hi, Dr. Abby. That's me. I love listening to your podcasts. I think I've listened to them all maybe twice. Although I'm staying mindful, I'm still having some relationship problems, and they're because of my own insecurities and frustrations. So here goes nothing. Writing it out will help me too. Good for you. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2.5 years, and we started doing long distance about 1.5 years in. He moved somewhere. He moved away. It's like a 4-hour drive away from where she is. And she's at school, it sounds like. She's away at college. And she said, however, when I'm home on breaks, we're only 1.5 hours from each other. So I think my assumption is they both met in, let's say, their town. Let's say San Francisco. I'm making this up because it's not San Francisco. And then, he moved away to wherever, 4 hours drive from San Francisco, wherever that is. And then she went away to a college, somewhere. And then, which is that, I guess that's the 4-hour drive. Sorry. Not. And then there's an hour and a half. I really fucked that up, didn't I? But you understand what I'm saying. And then, so he moved away. She moved away to college. So when he's just away and she's at college, they're 4 hours apart. But when when she's home, back where they both are from, I think, then they're only an hour and a half away. I think that's what she's saying. I screwed that up. Sorry. But that's what I'm saying. Hopefully you followed that and you're not hanging up now. Anyway. So since I went back to school, I've made the drive to see him 99% of the time. He has only come to see me 3 out of the hundreds of times, and that's hundreds with a capital, I went to see him. He never even drove to come see me when we were 90 minutes away. So I'm extremely resentful that he doesn't come to see me. His mom also gaslights him into seeing her over the weekend, so he has no choice but to obey her and doesn't come to see me. I never really got upset about this situation until now. I'm disappointed that he doesn't come to see me. I know how hard it is to take off of work, but I feel sad because if I was someone he wanted to be with, he would make the time to come see me. I also can't say anything to him about his mother. We're not married. We haven't been together for 5 years, so it's not my place to tell him to set boundaries and stand up to his mom. From my point of view, I put all the work into the relationship to make it work. I know he loves me. He tells me every day and constantly makes me feel reassured that we have a strong relationship. Although he never made me doubt him, he still neglects to make me think he wants to put in the effort to make the drive to see me. Maybe men are just lazy, but I'm tired of using that as an excuse. So, woohoo! Oh, I got a lot to say here. So some of you have been listening to me for a while. Ruth and Myrna out there in England. Both of you are laughing right now if you're listening. You don't know each other. You should meet. You're both fabulous and you write me wonderful, wonderful emails. But anyway, they've been listening a long time, so they know. I got a lot to say here. I'm going to call her Layla, and I'm going to call her boyfriend Eric. Get it? Eric Clapton wrote Layla. There you go. I know, I'm being adorable. I'm being so cute. Who could resist me? There's a lot to unpack. And I'm going to go kind of point by point because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to say here. There's so many things she's saying that I really want. And I've heard this language from people over and over. I have a different couple I just finished working with, and he would say a lot, well, she makes me do this or that about his wife. And that language makes me insane. Nuts, crazy. You want to drive Abby crazy? You know what you do? You tell me that you're a victim in your life. And as an adult who's not an indentured servant, we're going to have issues. So anyway, got some issues. So there's going to be some tough love. Actually, that's bullshit, right? What's tough love? Fuck that. There's going to be some love, just some love for Layla, who wrote this. And likely you, since my guess is that, you might be relating already to what I'm saying, to what's going on here. You might be going, I understand. I agree with her 1,000%. She shouldn't have to do all that driving. So, and I'm taking away the tough love thing because I'm just going to be direct because that's how we should be in life. Why are we sugarcoating things and running around the corner and everything else? I have total respect for Layla and Eric and this question. So there's no tough love. There's just love coming. Here we go. So point 1, she says, I'm resentful because he only comes to see me 3 out of the hundreds of times I went to see him. Well, I think we all know. There's no need to be resentful of Eric. This is on you, Layla. And we all do this, right? We give and we give and we give and we don't keep our boundaries, and then we're resentful with the other person. I talk about this constantly. I've said it once. I'll say it 1,000 times. It is not someone else's job to keep your boundaries. You are not an indentured servant, as I mentioned. I don't think so. If you don't want to go see him because you think it's unfair, don't go. Stop going. And don't give me some BS. Oh, but then we won't have a relationship. Oh, well. Is this the rest of your life? If you really think that we won't have a relationship anymore if I stop, I number one, don't think it's true. And number 2, it's really when you'll find out what's what in the relationship. But if you're just always doing the driving, of course, why not? And this keeping score thing is really bad. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But again, if you're not keeping your boundary, if you're the one going, even when you feel resentful, you can't be mad at the other person. It doesn't work that way. Again, you're not a victim. You are not a victim in your life. So, what do I talk a lot about verb, right? You can't act like a victim. You can't act entitled. You can't read anyone else's mind and they can't read yours. And you can't be blaming everyone else for what's going on in your life. Doesn't work. I use other acronyms for that, but that's my latest. And that's what this is. So I did a whole episode on boundaries and loving detachment. Loving detachment is really the one on that is really where I went deep, and that will, of course, as always, link to it in the show notes. But this is what happens. We collapse our own boundaries and we make them too thin. And then we're mad that the other person isn't respecting our boundaries. But again, we're not respecting them. I don't know why they're expected to. So, and it's not their job. It is not their job. It's not Eric's job to, if Layla keeps driving to him, I'm assuming he thinks it's fine. Even if she's complaining about it, she keeps doing it. So I guess she's okay with it. That's what Eric is likely thinking. And often this is true because men often are way better with their boundaries than women are. Women are really taught that if someone is hurting, if someone needs our help, that we're supposed to be the nurturers, we're supposed to be the givers, we're the human givers. And so it's really ingrained a lot. And I'm not saying women haven't come a long way in the last 100 years, but we forget it. It is still such a patriarchal society. It's ridiculous. And we have not come this far. Women are still deemed the ones and we are still socialized in this way. And I had a really progressive mother and I was still socialized in this way. And because she still did it. We just give and give and give. That's what's supposed to happen. So, that's in there somewhere. So I don't think Eric thinks there's really a problem around it. Even though he hears her complaining, again, her actions are not speaking that there's a problem. And the bigger picture here, as I mentioned, is Layla, you can't keep score. What do I always say about that? If you keep score in your relationship, you are going to lose. Healthy relationships are not transactional. There's no tit for tat. There's no keeping things even. You do what you do or don't do what you don't want to do. And that's it. That's all I got to say on it. Different people have different capacities. So you can't expect others to act like you do. And women, it seems often, again, I think because the way we're socialized, have very different capacities. We seem in general, I'm being very general, there's a lot of amazing men out there. You're incredible. You can outlast us sometimes with certain things. But in general, women take on more. We know this from the research, take on more than men at home, for sure. We have more work to do in the house and all that good stuff. Again, it's still how it's expected. So because we're taking on, we have this capacity for taking on a lot of stuff. We're kind of socialized that way. We've been doing it our whole lives. And men often don't. They just don't have that same capacity to multitask at the level we are, to really keep 100 different balls in the air the way we can in general. I know, again, don't write me hate mail about how great men are. I love men. I think they're fabulous. It's just we are socialized differently. So, and different people, just period, male or female, have different capacities. So you can't expect, again, others to act like you do. You just can't. But we do. We do. We think, I'm doing this thing. It's only fair that you do this thing. That's never going to work. I did a TED Talk about it. I've written blogs and posts about it. You can go listen because there's lots of reasons why it doesn't work. If you don't like it, there is something called a door, and you can walk out of it with all of your free will. That is at the very bottom line. I get that you don't want, see, this is what happens. Well, I don't want to leave. In this case, I love Eric. I think we have a lot of great things. I just want him to change this thing. Too bad. I don't know how else to say that. It's just, I shouldn't say too bad. I know that was mean. All right. I'm going to say it more lovingly. It's not happening. So you have to decide other things then. You can't just sit and bitch and moan about it. You have to either go, that's the way it is, I have to accept this, or I can go. And because it's a deal breaker for me. If it's a deal breaker, it's a deal breaker. But if it's not a deal breaker, why are you spending so much time and energy talking about it? It's because of, and she said it in the beginning, her own insecurities and her own issues. This isn't about Eric, right? This is about the wonderful, beautiful, fabulous Layla who wrote in. Okay. Point 2. His mom also gaslights him into seeing her over the weekend, so he has no choice but to obey her and doesn't come see me. Oh my gosh, I want to scream and run naked through the woods with this one. No, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Eric isn't a victim either. You're not a victim, Layla. Whoever's listening isn't a victim. Eric's not a victim. You're not a victim. If Eric doesn't have boundaries with his mama, that's his thing. But don't let him off the hook with, oh, he has no choice. Of course he has a choice. That's a load of bullshit. It's not true. I'm swearing. I have such a potty mouth today. Okay, I'm going to try to rein it in. I get a little bit of a potty mouth because I really want to get my point across clearly. And yeah, I don't need to do with that. Okay, anyway. All right. But it is a load of bullshit. And it's just not true. When anyone says they have to do something, it's time to take a step back. If you're the one doing it, again, love, 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 love you. Hug, hug, hugs all around. Unless you are being held against your will, you don't have to do anything. You don't. I've done work in drug and alcohol agencies for many years. And I used to work a lot many years ago with people who were mandated to treatment. And then I would work with executives who are mandated to come see me probably lose their job. And from any of these mandated people, I'd get the same response. Well, I have to be here. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. This victim crap, right? And no, I got to call bullshit on them too. You got plenty of choices. I would tell the mandated clients from rehab, you could go to jail. You could run away to Canada. You can go into hiding. You can change your name. I don't know. There's a million things you could do. Just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean there's not a choice. So that's where we set ourselves up as a victim. I don't want to break up with this person. Therefore, I'm a victim. No, that's, a choice. I work with these executives who could maybe you're going to lose your job. That's your choice. You don't have to see me. You don't have to do what I'm recommending. That's on you. Right now, you have a choice as you listen. We all have choices. And we don't get to blame others or act like a victim because we don't like what the choices are. That's not how it works. We can then create something where there's more choices. And I'm going to talk about that today because I think Layla has many choices with Eric. I don't think it's just she drives to him or doesn't or just puts up with it. I don't think that at all. And I don't think the only other choice is that, he drives 50% also or whatever. I think there's many other choices. So we'll talk about that. But getting back here, Eric doesn't want to stand up to his mom, right? My guess is he doesn't want to upset her. That's a choice. But don't start using your victim language with him. It doesn't apply to either of you. And he absolutely, I say with love, is choosing his mom over you in this scenario. If everything you're saying, if he's seeing her and not you, that's a choice. That's a choice. And, well, I can tell you this. Do you want to know how to figure out what's important to people? What's important to you? What's important to others? You know how you figure it out? You know how you figure out what the priorities are? You take a look at where they're spending their resources, where they're spending their time, their money, where their resources going. That's the most important thing to them. It is. You could pay your mortgage or not. You could, right? You could buy food or not. What's the most important thing to you? So, I don't have an expensive car. By a lot of me. I don't have a car where I have a car payment. I have a car I can afford for me because I like to pay cash for things. So for cars, especially because they depreciate. I don't want to pay interest on something that's depreciating in value. So for me, it's not a priority. I'm like, nope, I'm going to have an older car. I'm going to drive it forever. I'm going to just do that because that seems to be the best way to spend. That's a priority for me. Other people want to drive a brand new sports car. I'm cool with that. But don't complain to me that you don't have money for other things because you're driving that sports car. You're making a priority. You don't have to have a mortgage. You could rent. You could be homeless. You could live in a camper. You could move in with your mom. You could do a lot of things. Just because you don't want to is something else. But to act like you're a victim somehow, but you're showing the world what's a priority to you. by what you will spend your money on or your time with or where you spend it. That's what you're doing all the time. So now, let me say this. Eric's mom might be a priority because she gets more upset than Layla does when Eric doesn't see her. So Eric's priority might be his peace of mind and getting his mother off his back. I don't know. It doesn't mean necessarily that he loves his mom more than Layla. It might just be that his mom complains more and Layla doesn't, complain as much. And it's just he feels less guilt, or I don't know. It's whatever Eric's doing though. It's for his own peace of mind for sure. I hear people say things like, well, I didn't tell my mom because, I don't want to upset her. No, you don't want to upset you. You don't want the having to deal with what she's going to say back to you. Oh, she's old. The stories I've heard, oh, I didn't tell my grandmother that I was in rehab because she wouldn't be able to handle it. Yes, she will. She's 90 years old. She handles stuff really well, actually. She's fine. You're the one who feels embarrassed or shameful or whatever else about being in rehab. Don't put that on your grandmother. Again, this is like all the stuff we do, we tell ourselves so that we can act a certain way. And again, kind of be a victim or not do things we don't want to do or, get around the corner of stuff, Anyway, I don't know. I can't say for sure what Eric's thing is here, but the proof is in the pudding, At the end of the day, he is making a choice for whatever reason that is about his mom, but it is not a victim. And the mother is not forcing him or gaslighting him into doing anything. That's always a choice on the other side. All right. Point 3. She says in the letter, I can't say anything to him about his mother. We're not married. We haven't been, I think she said, together 5 years, so it's not my place to tell him to set boundaries and stand up to his mom. Well, I don't care if you're together 2 weeks or married 10 years. It's never your place to tell others what they should or shouldn't be doing with their boundaries. You got to stop, all of us. And trust me, I'm probably the worst with this. I'm doing it right now with you. I'm telling you where I think your boundaries should be. I'm doing it all the time. But I get to put on my Ask Dr. Abby hat, so I get a pass. You're the one who, because you asked. But it's the truth, though, because at the end of the day, I have, say, a client, and I'll say to them, well, here's the best thing I think is best for you to do. And if they don't do it, I don't tell them, well, screw you, I'm never going to see you again. Like, you're not doing the right thing, and you're not telling me. I just am loving. I'm like, oh, they're not ready yet. It's okay. As a matter of fact, I do the opposite. I'm like, it's okay. We're only ready for what we're ready for. You got to do your best. That's what I do. I try to encourage them to a place where maybe they would do the thing. But But again, that's a counselor-client relationship. I really try very hard not to do it anywhere else. Again, unless asked, unless the feedback loop is happening. We like to tell us what they should be doing all the time with their boundaries, and it's usually because we're not holding our own. And this is a good example. Layla wants to tell Eric to be better and have, better boundaries with his mom. But again, I say with love, kind of who is she to talk? She's not keeping her boundaries with Eric. So, and I want to say this again. I know I might sound, I don't even know if I sound heartless or something, but I'm the opposite. Layla, I love you. I love you. I love you. I really do. I love you so much that I want you to stand up for yourself and your needs. I want you to stop being afraid of losing Eric, because that's fear, and fear has no place in a love relationship. And I want you to start acting the way you really want to act. What would happen if you pulled back lovingly with Eric? What would happen if you just let him know that it was feeling like too much to come visit him, quote unquote, all the time, and you're just going to come less? Not as a fuck you, not as a screw you, but with a loving, open heart. This is the key. It's not, I am, crossing your arms. I am sick and tired of being all the one come until you come to me. That's an ultimatum, and that's fear-based, and that's again, has no place in a love relationship. It is really about loving yourself and just going, you know what? This is a lot for me. It's a lot of driving. I don't like doing it. I'm not enjoying this. So, Layla could say, Eric, I love you. Here you go. I love you too much to keep driving to you all the time. It's making me resentful. And I don't want to resent you because I love you. So I'm going to be doing my own thing more. If you want to see me, let's brainstorm together what might work for both of us. And when I want to see you and it won't make me upset, I will happily make the drive to you. And I'm going to share this. I used to make salads every day for my man, to take to work. Everyone knows who's listening that, for me, food is love. And it's one of the ways I show people I love them is by cooking for them. And, I used to make these salads. And so he had something healthy to take to work. And I'd feel so good knowing he was there eating the salad that I made, lovingly made. But every now and then my life would get very overwhelming. There would just be too much going on, too much travel, too much whatever. And I would be making the salad, realizing I was making like an angry salad, right? Like, oh, he doesn't even appreciate these salads, and and oh, I don't have time for this stuff, and I can't believe I'm making him salad. He never makes me a salad. And, I'd find myself don't make an angry salad. No one should eat an angry salad. Angry salad? That sounds terrible, right? Like, no, thank my tears in the salad. No, that is not love. And so what I would do is just let him know. I'm like, you know what? I'm not feeling good about making salads right now. I'm just letting you know, I just feel really busy or whatever. I didn't have to explain it. I would just say, I'm not going to make salads for a while. I need you to take care of your lunches for a while. When I'm in the mood again, I'll let you know and I'll make salads again. And every time he was like, no problem. I'm not the one asking you to make them. I totally appreciate when you do, but I can, I'll eat other things. It's fine. He was totally loving and okay about it. And then I could let myself get back to a place where it felt good to make the salads again. And I will tell you, I do this with all the cooking. I love to cook for the people I love. And when I do it, it's really for me, really, because it's like me showing my love. And there's times when I'm exhausted and I don't want to cook, even if people are asking. And I'm like, it's just too much for me right now. It's going to be an angry chicken. I'm going to be making angry roast chicken and I don't want to. Or resentful broccoli. Nobody wants to make resentful broccoli. Nobody wants to eat resentful broccoli. So it's the same thing with this drive. I would tell Layla, like, if you really want to see Eric and you're excited about it and feeling inspired and, oh my gosh, I miss my man and, oh, I can't wait to see him, and you want to drive with that, wonderful thing in your heart, go for it. If you're feeling in that other place, though, no, that is not the way to do it. And again, but problem solve together how else it could look to see one another. Okay? All right. And the last point I want to make, I want to make 50 more, but I'll make one more. She says, I know he loves me. He tells me every day and constantly makes me feel reassured that we have a strong relationship. Although he's never made me doubt him, he still neglects to make me think he wants to put in the effort to make the drive to see me. Maybe men are just lazy, but I'm tired of using that excuse. Oh my gosh, Layla, Eric loves you. He tells you all the time. He makes you feel assured all the time. Why are you writing me this letter? What really, that's at the end of this. And this is for everybody listening, because why are you even complaining about the thing? He's telling you the truth. He's telling you that you have a strong relationship in his eyes, because driving clearly isn't part of it. This isn't about being lazy. This isn't about lazy. This is about the meaning Layla is ascribing to Eric's driving to see her. For Layla, that's love. Oh, I would hazard a guess that if she ever did the, love languages quiz, I bet her top love language is acts of service. That's my guess. And I would guess that Eric's is something like words of affirmation. So to him, saying the things, and she says he loves it, and I love you, and yum, and we talk or whatever, feels great. And he's satisfied. He doesn't need to see her all the time. He doesn't need to have the same thing she needs. If you're the one who needs it, then, often you need to be the one making that happen for yourself. But I would also ask you to ask yourself, why do you need it so much? Why aren't the words enough? And it's okay that they're not. Don't get me wrong. I don't want you to feel like you always have to change for your man or your woman, or I have to give up everything I want. I'm not saying that. I'm saying take a step back and really think to yourself, what if you stopped, like in this case, what if Layla stopped judging what Eric is doing? What if she stopped saying that it's bad or wrong or lazy? Your mind should be blown right now. What if she just accepted that this is him? This is Eric. He has all these wonderful qualities. I always feel loved. I always feel cherished. He just doesn't like to drive. He just doesn't drive. And maybe he's not the guy for you. Only you know that. Only you know that. But what if you were just to accept him as he is? No upgrades, no improvements, no nothing else. This is my person. This is the best it's going to be. Is that enough for you? People tell you all the time who they are. And it's really important to believe them. And more than that, it's important not to judge them for it. So I don't want him to judge you as anxious and clingy just because you like to see him more, because you're not necessarily anxious or clingy. It's just how you like to do it. But someone else might be looking at you going, oh, she's too anxious. She's too clingy. She wants too much time with me. That's a judgment. Just like you're doing it the other way. You putting in, quote unquote, all the work to make it from your angle. I bet he'd say he's putting in work too. I bet any amount of money. Eric feels like, I tell her I love her all the time. I really appreciate her. I think about her all day. It's just different than what you deem the right way. It's not one way is right and one way is wrong. It's not right to want to see each other all the time. It's not right to not want to. I say this all the time with sex. When one person wants sex more than the other one, you're not right to want sex more. You're not wrong to want sex less. You're not wrong to want sex more either. You got to get rid of the right and the wrong, because it sets you guys up on these opposite teams where you're trying to get the person, trying to control them to do this thing you want. And it ends up in a losing game. I would love to see, here's my dream, for Eric and Layla to have a loving, open conversation. And I'd love Layla to ask some questions. So the first one I would think about is, Eric, I want to say this well. When you say we have a strong relationship, what do you mean by that? What's a strong relationship to you? What are the things you do that you think make this a strong relationship? And what are the things I do that make you think this is a strong relationship? And you need to ask it, sorry, my alarm went off. You need to ask it with curiosity, with openness, and with love. If you had to give our relationship a grade right now, what would it be and why? Right? That's another thing to ask. Get some relativity about what's going on. Can you ask me that same question? And when you answer, so Layla could ask him, can you ask me that same question, back? And when you answer, Layla, don't tell Eric he's doing what he's doing wrong, because he's not doing anything wrong. Instead, just tell him what you need and why, and see what he's willing or not willing to do, or just see what he says. When you approach the other person from a place of open curiosity, instead of I'm right and you're wrong and you need to see my point of view, I am telling you right now, you'll get great ideas, you'll get brainstorming, you'll get togetherness, you'll get, a team effort, because in the end, you need to treat this as a we thing. It's not an Eric problem and it's not a Layla problem. It's the two of them together that are the solution, right? That's what it is. So I just want to wrap up with this. In the beginning, I said, do you feel like you're the one putting in the lion's part of the effort in your relationship? How can you get your partner to own up and do their fair share? Well, hopefully you found the answer here. You don't get them to do anything. You get yourself to draw boundaries around what you need, and you take action if those aren't met. But you do it all with a loving, curious, and open heart. You do it without deciding that you're right and they're wrong, your partner or whoever is wrong. You do it without a screw you attitude, without feeling rejected and abandoned, because again, that's you putting meaning on what they're doing and it's not what's happening. It's about you coming back to self always and deciding what's best for you and creating an atmosphere where you can have what's best for you. But really getting clear on why you want this thing. What do you think it's going to show you or prove to you or anything else? And that's really, it's always our work. It's always the work of us. And again, I say all of this with so much love. Layla, I want you to have a happy life. I want everyone listening to have a happy life. And you can't have it if you're constantly blaming other people or judging what they do, or, especially our partners, and deciding that they're wrong and we're right and they need to do. It's just not going to happen. And you know that, because otherwise, you wouldn't be listening right now, and or you wouldn't be looking for help around these topics, or you wouldn't be feeling miserable sometimes. So really take a step back, do your internal work first, start asking questions, start having great conversations that are connecting, that are thoughtful, that are loving, that are kind, and you're really gonna find the answers that you're looking for. I love you so much. I'm so glad you're here. If you want to see more of me, you can follow me on social media. Instagram or whatever. Everything's on my website if you want to go over there and check it out. And if you haven't yet bought my book, Be Happily Married, even if your partner won't do a thing, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's really great. I love my book. I'm really proud of it. Amazon #1 bestseller for a reason in relationships. Hope you come around to it and keep listening. Have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you soon.